My name is Jillian, and today I'm going to go over just a few of the books that I have read recently. First up is Between Two Kingdoms by Suleika Jawad. This is a memoir. In it, we are following the author who, right after college, at about age 23, was diagnosed with leukemia. She was given about a 35% chance of survival, and she spent a lot of time in the hospital. Eventually, after about 4 years, she was deemed cured. But she didn't really know how to get back to life. She found herself kind of caught between two kingdoms. She embarked on a 15,000-mile car trip in which she visited a bunch of people who had written to her during her time at the hospital. These were cancer patients, these were death row inmates, a whole wide group of people who she felt could teach her something about how to move on when your life is interrupted. Based on the cover, which is clearly her traveling, I expected that it was mostly going to be about this journey to find herself again. But it was actually more than half of the book that was devoted to her experience in the hospital and the ramifications of her illness on her relationships with those around her. In particular, a romantic relationship. If you do not want any spoilers as to what happens in their relationship and the direction that it goes, do not read the beginning couple of pages. It's a little letter that she has written to the readers. Yes, I enjoyed this book. She was very raw and honest in it. She did not paint herself as this perfect person. She had faults. She let her kind of uglier moments show, and I greatly appreciated that for its honesty and its rawness and its realness. But I do feel like there were some things that I wanted more of. I wanted more of her journey, of her road trip and finding herself. Next, I read Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir as a group read with MJ over at Reading This Life. Right before this, I read The Martian, also by Andy Weir. I was a little bit concerned that I was reading another book by the same author, also about space, back to back. But I absolutely loved this book. In it, we're following Ryland Grace, who is a scientist. He is on this mission to save the Earth, but he does not know what the mission is, and at the start of the book, he doesn't even know what his own name is. He wakes up, he is in this spaceship, traveling far away from Earth. He's got two corpses for crewmates, and slowly, his memory starts to come back, and he's able to piece it together and figure out what he is supposed to be doing. I'm really happy that I did not know any more than that going into this book, because I feel like I may not have read it had I known. This book, and this author in particular, has made me more excited to try out some more science fiction. The writing in here is quick and witty. Yes, there is a lot of science in here. If you've read The Martian, I think you probably will enjoy this. Ryland Grace and Mark Watney, who is the main character in The Martian, are very, very similar. They have the same quirky sense of humor. And of course, they're both astronauts, but you knew that. I've heard that the audiobook is also absolutely wonderful for both this and The Martian. I haven't tried them out, but I've heard good things. Yes, it is maybe technically a slightly longer book at almost 500 pages, but let me tell you, the pages fly and you're not going to want to put the book down. The final book that I want to talk about today is Oona Out of Order by Margarita Montimore. In this, we are following Oona. She's about to turn 19 years old on January 1st. It is New Year's Eve. She's trying to figure out what she should do with her life. Should she stay in this band with her boyfriend, or should she go on a trip across Europe with her best friend? She wishes that she did not have to choose. At midnight, she suddenly wakes up and she is 32 years in the future. She is still mentally a 19-year-old, but she's in the body of a 51-year-old Oona. We then begin following Oona across time. You're never really sure when she is going to turn up on January 1st, but you know she's going to be at a different time in her life. Sometimes she'll be arthritic. Sometimes she will be navigating new relationships. Sometimes she'll be navigating relationships that she's clearly already in the middle of. There's often a note that is waiting for her so that she can glean a little bit of information for her for the coming year. But by and large, she tries to keep things surprising for herself so that she doesn't know too much of what's going to happen. I'm somebody who really enjoys time travel books, and so that was why I picked it up. I thought it sounded like a very interesting concept. And I have to say that it did not really work for me. I listened to this on audiobook. As always with these things, I kind of wonder what it would have been like to read rather than listen, and if that would have changed my perception of the story. But it was a good choice for audiobook because it was light. I didn't have to focus on it. I did not form a connection with Oona or with any of the other characters. I had so many questions as we were getting going in the story. Is it a good idea to try to keep things secret from yourself? Is it even possible to keep things secret from yourself? I don't know how it would be possible to live your life for a year and not ever figured out some fundamental things about what happened to you in the past, how you met a key person in your life, or what you do for a career. Things like that, I would think you would figure out over time. It just seems weird to me that you could actually keep yourself in the dark about things that happened in your past. And it just felt, and I know time travel is not something that can happen, but it felt too unbelievable for me, even given that I was ready to accept this idea of jumping around in your life as something that could actually happen. There were times later on in the book where I started to get a little bit more into it, and it ultimately was sweet, but it also just kind of wasn't for me, and that's okay. Definitely a cool concept. Please let me know if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. That is it for my wrap up. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.